right. My name's Steve, and my stories. I ended up in Lexington maybe 14 years ago. I spent most of my life just traveling from city to city. I've been in every state except two, and I've just lived in a city for a while, take off, and I got married in Lexington. I have a daughter, and that's really the only reason I stayed here. But, when I first got to the Hope Center, I was at the Hope Center before I came here, and they preach this Alcoholics Anonymous, and the thing with Alcoholics Anonymous is they want to stay sick, and they call themselves alcoholics, and they seem to want to label themselves as alcoholics and spend their life in recovery. And I read 2 Corinthians 5:17 that says I'm a new creation, and the old is gone, behold, the new is. All things become new. And one day it occurred to me, well, if I'm a new creation, I better start acting that way. So I don't go into meetings anymore and declare myself an alcoholic. And but I was at the Hope Center for quite a while. The marriage didn't work out because I was drinking all the time, and I was living on the streets. And at the Hope Center, to Jim Connell, this was before he started the mission. He used to serve lunch here, and after lunch they have these Bible studies, and I'd listen to the sermon after lunch, and for the first time, I grew up in church and I'd heard about God, but for the first time I believed what somebody was telling me. And that's when it got confusing, because on the way back to the Hope Center, the seed be planted, and it was just jerked out of me on the way back, but I think I've been here like 7 or 8 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Over how long of a period of time?
About 7 years.
About 7 years?
I was the first group to come into the program when they first opened the building, and I'd always find an excuse to leave, but in reality I wanted to go get drunk. I just okay, I'm leaving, this happened, I'm leaving, and I'd come back, they'd give me another chance, I'd stay a while, I'd take off, get drunk, come back, and then a while I didn't come back for a while, and went somewhere, and went here, went there, and came back, and they were still here, and yeah, about 7 times later, I don't know if there was a change or what, I just got tired of the way I was living. It's like Frank was saying earlier about Satan showing up all over the place. It's like since I've become aware of God's word, I don't think Satan's showing up any more he ever has, but God's shining a light on him, and I know who I'm listening to now. And my desires, it's not that I don't know if my actions have changed, and I believe my desires have changed, and I have a desire to act to please God. And before I never did. I never knew that that's what I was supposed to do. So, I can think of a million things that I used to do. And before I didn't think twice, I just did it. But now, I can think, well, can I get away with it? Can I do that? But now I think, well, what'll God think of this? And that's, that just puts the skids on it. But I stayed for a little while longer this last time, and they told me move over to the Maryland house, so I moved in there, and things just started working out. I mean, I have a renewed relationship with my daughter. I have a good job. And, before I'd have already quit by now, and I'd already done something else. But right now I look at it like, well, things are working out, so why change? And I believe it's hard to pinpoint, where the change came. My desires have changed, and my desires, I'm not perfect, but like I said, I think if I'm a new creation, it's about time I start acting like one. And that's, progress.
Steve, I think of that passage in Romans where it says that we're transformed by the renewing of our mind. And maybe it's just a slow process. Maybe it's not as fast.
Yeah, it's been a process, and it's still in work, but I figure if I take off, it's just going to prolong it longer. And I'm, like I said, I'm not perfect. I missed church a few times, in the last couple of months due to work, but oh well. Well, yeah, right now I have, like I said, I don't know when the change came, but it did, and it was a direct result of the Lexington Rescue Mission and the work that, and all these other guys that Frank was talking about, and the successes I've seen come out of here, like Alan Cunningham and a couple other people whose life just seems to be going well. I work with a guy, well, he comes in, he's a cop. He used to arrest me all the time, and he comes in the ER all the time. We're good friends now. And I can remember sitting at the Fayette County Jail and cussing out the guards under my breath, and then one day I'm looking at them, say, look at me, I'm sitting here in blues, and they're walking around looking healthy with families and wives, and I'm sitting there cussing them, and you know, and it's like something's wrong with this picture. So I haven't been in jail in quite a while either, and I found out as long as I don't drink, I probably won't end up in jail. But yeah, a combination of, I just, you know, I look back at the way I used to live, and when I was living that way, I had no idea how sick I really was. And the more I stay sober, the more I realize just, you know, how sick that was to live that way. And I really have no desire to go back to living that way. You know, there's been a few times I've been sitting at that house alone and thinking, you know, I could go over to that beer store and get me a six-pack, and who knows? It's 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, and then I ask, you know, what did God think? and that's, you know, I can't hide from Him. I've had chats with this woman online at the end, you know, online, and she wanted me to come over her house, and I knew that was going to end up, and that's the only thing that come to my mind, you know, is this going to please God? And absolutely not. So, like I said, I just keep doing what I'm doing because it's working.